and we're using two different Facebook platforms. Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the Road to Young Life Studio, where I am here with Mr. Bay, Mr. Perry Bay, also Mr. Carlos Howard, and Miss Natasha Holloway, guys. They wanted to come out here and share with you guys about what's really going on in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Guys, as y'all do know, it's hard to get media coverage on things that goes on in the black community when it's about what's going on with the black community. If I don't allow people to use my platform, then all these stories will be shown and y'all won't know what's really going on. So I'm grateful that they took the opportunity to contact me and I'm able to share what's really going on in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Miss Latasha Holloway, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I am Latasha Holloway, a community activist within the city of Virginia Beach. I am happy to announce that we had a very successful court appearance today where the judge has basically approved and certified our petition that we have started to recall Mayor Bobby Dyer, the liar, uh, from his office as mayor. So I'm here today just to spread the joy. We have Mr. Perry Bay and Mr. Carlos Howard here that are also here to spread that joy because, as you remember, I had given an exclusive story to Rhoda Young back in early August. And in that story, I told the viewing audience that the city of Virginia Beach was the most corrupt city within the within the Commonwealth of Virginia, rather. Um, I I did not stutter. I did not stumble over my words when I said that. I wanted the viewing audience, and that's everyone, not just the communities of color, every citizen within the uh, uh, the premise of the city of Virginia Beach to understand that our city has been corrupt for generations, and it's time for that to change. And so, after that story, we did have a lot of individuals reaching out to me, and Mr. Carlos and Mr. Bay, to express that they were also experiencing some hardships within the city because of that corruption and that they wanted to see something done. So, this petition is a result of the outcry of so many citizens within the city of Virginia Beach, black, white, Asian. It doesn't matter what descent that you're from. What matters is that you have been experiencing a lot of pain and hardship living in the city of Virginia Beach, all because we are under a corrupt regime of these corruptors who choose to fleece our city of its resources instead of supporting the citizens of the city of Virginia Beach. So that's what we're here for today. We're here to give some insight to what we are doing currently with the petition. We are opening the opportunity for those who would be interested in our petition drive to participate with us. We are doing a call to action, and that is for everyone who has an interest in the city of Virginia Beach and lives in Virginia Beach, works in Virginia Beach. You want to see the corruption end. It starts with recalling Bobby Dyer.
Natasha Holloway, thank you for that. It was very interesting. Is it true after that exclusive interview you gave me, you did go to court against the city of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and you actually won the case?
Yes, the judge rendered his verdict, and he found the city of Virginia Beach had violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. So it is, basically the judge stated in his opinion that the city of Virginia Beach was being discriminatory and had discriminatory tactics that were prohibiting communities of color from having any opportunity, equitable opportunities in the elections. So, yes.
May I ask you, Miss Holloway, why is it so important to recall the mayor of Virginia Beach?
Well, we're talking about the head of the corruption in the city of Virginia Beach. And my philosophy is you cut off that head, and the body of that corruption has no way to fulfill what they have been able to do in fleecing our city. You cut off that head, and we get new leaders in place, new leaders that are working for the citizens of the city of Virginia Beach instead of against them, instead of pulling and pooling the resources out of their neighborhoods for their own benefit and gain. So that's why we are recalling Bobby Dyer. At the very least, we need to get rid of him just because he's a failure. He has failed all of us. And for any number of reasons. But, for me, the pain of remembering my grandparents, when he's was on council, and he basically lied and would tell my family that we would be supported in ending the flooding in our community. I can remember every time that it rained, we had water in our living room.
Wow.
Every time that it rained. And this was a fairly new subdivision. I'm sure you're familiar with the Lansdowne area. And I can remember, my grandparents, they had pooled all of their resources, their life savings, into a home just to be able to provide for their grandchildren. So it's important that everyone know that you're not alone. You're living in these communities that have been underwater. You're living in in the communities where the schools are. Your kids are going to dilapidated school buildings. You're working for the city of Virginia Beach and working in dilapidated buildings. Where is the money going?
Wow.
Okay, so that is what this is all about. We're recalling this mayor because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you.
Wow. Mr. Carlos Howard, could you echo off what Ms. Latasha Holloway said?
Well, certainly when you talk about leadership, and Ms. Holloway was relatively kind in talking about alluding to the head. You cut the head of a snake off, the rest of the body got to die. And Mr. Dyer appears to be the leadership of that mindset of bigotry and racism and oppression for African Americans, Filipinos, Hispanics, and Asians. And as she alluded to, that the courts found them guilty of violating the Voter Rights Act. And with that being said, I mean, there's a whole litany of things that have transpired over the past year. You've had two murders, uh, Donovan Lynch and Shayla Harris, that there is no uh, comfort or information going to the family in terms of a resolution to the case. They put together a grand jury that tries to seemingly vilify the young victim in this case and the attorneys. It goes on and on and on.
Mr. Carlos Howard, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If the city of Virginia Beach was found guilty and Latasha Holloway won the case of the corruption that's going on in Virginia Beach voting system, why has it been kept hush hush? Why no one knows about this?
It's because the media bias, yeah, Wavy TV 10, WTKR 3, WVEC 13, and Fox 14, the journal, the Virginia Pilot, as well as the Daily Press, are complicit to this blackout, to the change of the oligarchs that control the policies and the money. They don't want that to get out, and they've still been trying to circumvent the judge's ruling by trying to facilitate, an appeal that's not going anywhere.
Wow.
So, it's a whole litany of things that's wrong there. I've been a resident of Virginia Beach for the past 25, 30 years. Most of my interest is in Norfolk. Nobody knew that I was in Virginia Beach, but when, I found out that this was going on, even in physical infirmities, I just could not sit back knowing what I have that I can bring to the table. We're not playing here. God has given us an assignment to liberate his people through the gifts and the knowledge of the legal ramifications, the courage, and our humanity. And when you've been told by the courts that you have no humanity, as Bradley Savito illustrated, and the Virginia Supreme Court has told us on recently in some matters, you know, what does that make you be? What the psychological and the emotional stuff, and we're paying taxes for
Wow.
to be insulted and
Wow.
oppressed.
Wow. That is absolutely terrible to hear. Mr. Bray, Perry Bray, can you enlighten us what's going on with the Virginia Beach court system and why is it so important to you that the mayor of Virginia Beach be removed from office?
Political corruption, bigotry. What Latasha has done in leading the call to recall the mayor is just a sign of what's to come to recall a number of other leaders, like the Commonwealth Attorney, the sheriff, that we're focusing on now. Today represented two big news stories. One in which Latasha was cleared to go out to the public now to get their signatures of registered voters who want to change in the God, the city fathers of Virginia Beach. And then you had Democrats now, because of their engagement of a level of corruption, have tainted the entire process. They've lost the House, the lieutenant governorship, the governorship, and the attorney general. So there is a reset in Virginia. There's a shift in Virginia to take down apartheid, to take down political corruption. This mayor does not care about African Americans and non-whites. And I hold that to be true based on his conduct and his actions. And what's so sad about it is it's undeserving of how we've been treated. Now, I'm a former resident of Virginia Beach. And I remember a long time ago when Princess Anne County, where I lived, there was one way in and one way out. We now call the court down there. And so what Bobby Dyer represents is an elite group of segregationists and bigots that must be removed. And it's sad when you have folk look like us and folk look like him that do not see that view when that view is so apparent when you look at how the resources are done. As Latasha so eloquently spoke, here's a man that's come to elderly people and the citizens and say, well, we got a referendum and give me another $100 and some for 10 years and we're going to mitigate the flooding. FEMA has poured money into the state of Virginia, and in particular Virginia Beach, to mitigate and resolve these problems. Why are we continuing to repurpose money and double dip? And as Latasha said, where is the money? So when you have this kind of bankrupt apartheid leadership, someone has to stand up in the gap, like Mr. Carlos Howard, who still has a standing petition to recall Mark Herring, the Attorney General, who wouldn't concede until Carlos filed a petition, and then he conceded that he had lost. Latasha certainly has a crown victory, much like we did in Norfolk, taking down Norfolk at-large system. She has now toppled an entire government that is going to come in play in the new year. So we're telling the citizens, get ready for change, get ready for Vision 2022 and beyond. New leadership, new future. As she said, we have schools that are more than almost half a century old, poor ventilation, dilapidation, and you're depriving the young people, you're depriving neighborhoods, and you're pandering to your elite segregationists and white business side of Virginia Beach that believe in exclusion from the group that runs everything, more particularly African Americans and minorities. So I take my hat off. I'm here to support Brother Carlos and Latasha. And as long as I can see my way to help and assist to take down these kind of corrupt regimes, I'm a part of that. So I'm telling the Commonwealth Attorney, and I'm telling the city attorney and the sheriff, the Commonwealth Attorney's brother, you're on the radar for a recall. You have demonstrated your lack of empathy and sympathy for a loss of life. You have demonstrated your indifference towards us as a race of people. And we're not going to put up with it anymore. And we're not going to allow you to hide in your little Eiffel Tower and all the little backdrop of the resources of the people to continue to marginalize us and don't see our humanity. We're not putting up with it anymore. And we're not talking about it. We're about it.
Wow.
We're not getting out and grandstanding on some, news network or trying to convince people. Our work is documented. Today's success was a success for the citizens of Virginia Beach who want to change. Thank God for this young lady. Now, I want to say something, Carlos, I think as a call to action. As Latasha said, we got to call the whole community together. This is about all of us. Those of us who don't like each other, those of us who don't speak to each other, those of us can't get along, those of us who want to find their way back home. We've got to speak with one voice here. We've got to heal the division. We got to heal the rift. We got to deal with this gun violence, these problems, and as Carlos so often allude to, manufactured poverty, where people are continuing to marginalize us as a people and not recognize our humanity. So we need you to come together. Latasha will let you know how you can reach where the next pop-up locations or where you can participate in signing the petition and going to her website that she'll give that information in a minute. But we want to thank you in particular, Rhoda, because it's so important that you do understand, you feel the pains of these communities. You out on the ground. This is just not some story or let me respond to this. You actually walk in the shoes of people who look like you and who hurt and who don't look like you and who hurt and are the victims of these legislative policies of evil, these legislative policies of hurt and marginalization of people. And we just want to thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, Wave It TV 10 was there today, Andy Fox and Channel 3. And they send these people in who have bias against us and can look in our face and talk like, we understand. Yeah, we understand. As I said to Andy Fox, don't stand there and act like you don't know what time of day this is. You understand exactly what it is. Channel 3, they'll tell you, well, I'm here, but not for that resource. Why is what affecting us as a people not important enough when a lot of your viewers look just like me?
Right.
And so when you engage in that kind of exclusion and censorship and bias, you don't have to tell me about your bigotry. You're demonstrating your bigotry. And so there is no independent journalism there. So I'm putting all the news media. I could care less about coverage or 6 o'clock news, but I want them to know there's a change coming to the general managers and ownerships of all of these news channels and the Rupert Murdoch money behind Fox News, all that's coming to a head. So all they got to do is continue to ignore us and continue to treat us this way. And God said he will fight the battle. And this is why the Democrats lost. And I made that clear to the news. They did, brother.
Exactly.
That y'all can go around with all your speculation and your pundits, just like the mayor ducked and dodged now. He's incompetent or disabled. He's not able to discharge his duties. So do us a favor, because God has shown himself strong here. Don't resign. That Commonwealth attorney that came out and wanted, vilify Mr. Lynch, Pharrell's cousin, want to vilify these families, don't see their humanity, come and lie to us or sell us a story after you done manufactured the evidence and called it evidence. You have no respect for us as a community. And we're going to see to it that you don't hold no office, no matter how long it takes. You won't have dog catcher license in the state.
Wow.
And what's so problematic about this whole scenario is the fact that they do not see our humanity. And by that, we this morning on our broadcast call for a boycott of Virginia Beach businesses.
Wow.
We call for a boycott of the Oceanfront, the Cavalier Hotel, the Main in Norfolk, owned by Bruce Thompson, based upon how he demonstrated the lack of the right to contract for Pharrell Williams and bringing in Dave Chappelle. If you cut one African American, one minority, we all bleed.
Right.
And the problem here is that Dr. Martin Luther King laid the war plan before us. We need to stop spending our money with our oppressor.
Yes.
We just need to stop it, because the only thing that they value is their money. Now, as it's always been put to me, is that the good white people and good black people. In fact, in my family lineage, I've got white people in my family. Every sibling of mine has a white kid showing up in his DNA, blonde hair, blue eyes. So it's not about race with us. It's about right and wrong and justice. And there is no justice in Virginia Beach under this current regime, and that's why it's got to go. And if you really want to see some massive action take place, do as Mr. Bay said. If you want to come back into the fold, come home. Stop hating on each other because you want to be the Martin, the Luther, and the King.
Wow.
We have got to begin to work together. Now, if you don't understand the tie that binds us together, the color of your skin, then something is wrong with you. You've drank their Kool-Aid for too long.
Wow.
So I'm just saying that we are, as of today, calling for a massive boycott against the oceanfront and all of Virginia Beach. And Mr. Bay has come up with the words of boycott and boycott. Boycott means that we're not going to support these businesses who support these bigot regimes and businesses. And boycott, we're going to support those businesses that are anti-racism, anti-bigotry. It works. Dr. King indicated it. And it's time for us to put our actions where it is. The time is up for us taking our paychecks and running to them.
Wow.
Our money needs to come and stay within our communities.
Wow.
By
And
the rule of 7.
And you heard it here first. Before Wavy News 10, Channel 3, and also Channel 13 News. Miss Latasha Holloway, what are you really asking of the public in Virginia Beach? What do you need from the citizens of Virginia Beach right now?
I'm so glad you asked that question, Rhoda. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're Protestant, if you're Baptist. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. At the end of the day, we are all human beings living in a city of pain. We have all endured so much under the lack of leadership in the city of Virginia Beach. So at this time, we're calling for everyone within earshot of my voice to come together. We have a unified fight to get rid and detox the city of Virginia Beach. I can't do it alone. I haven't done it alone. As you see, I have a team of people that have helped me do what I've done so far. We have so much more work to do. So I need for everyone that has an interest in our petition drive to contact us at our Detox VB Now site. Contact me, leave your contact information. Our team will reach out to you. We will organize and set up a meeting with your church, organization, your family. It doesn't matter. We need your assistance to follow through with this petition and purge our city once and for all. Detox Virginia Beach. That's what I'm asking.
Natasha, I'm very curious. If we do get rid of the mayor that's currently sitting in the seat, who would be his replacement, and will you be running for office anytime soon?
Absolutely. I've thrown my hat in the ring as the future, running for future mayor of the city of Virginia Beach. I have every hope in my heart that the citizens of Virginia Beach are going to support that as well. First things first, though. First, we get rid of the mayor, Robert Bobby Dyer, the liar, that has not lived up to all the promises that he has made, both as councilman and mayor. So we are asking to recall him now, and that's what this petition is about. After that, yes, I want the citizens to know who has stood up for them, who has gone to bat for them, who has gone through the pain and the struggle of going through all these court hearings. Not one other leader within the city of Virginia Beach, other than Mr. Howard here, has stood beside me. Not one.
Wow.
So I need for everyone to know I need everyone to know, who is really fighting for them and who kind of just stay back in the shadows and let the single mother of 4 children do the work for them. So that's important.
Wow. In closing, guys, how long do the mayor have left in his seat right now?
Well, they run on 4 year staggered terms, and so you're looking out next election. They think it's 2024, but because of the victory that Latasha and the wonderful law firm, a team of lawyers that won the decision to take it down, there'll be a reordering next year of the city council setup. And so much like what the city attorney has already said, nobody knows what it's going to look like because the ring of power is up for grabs. You also have some council seats, I believe, that are up for grabs, about 2 next year. So there's a whole shift in the dynamics that is occurring here. What we have to do in planning for the reset is get in position, which Latasha has gotten in position to announce. And we need folk to run for office. We need folk to weigh in now. And as Carlos always say, you're not beholden to them anymore. I am glad to see certain council members, and I'll say it like Councilman Ross. I'm glad to see these council persons listen and hear. And they're breaking rank because they understand what they're a part of and supporting is wrong. And so we got to celebrate them when they do the right thing, acknowledge them when they take the right position. I mean, it's about atonement. So we're getting ready for this whole political reset. I'm so thankful for Brother Carlos because, he quietly goes along. So I'll say this, Carlos, and then I'll shut up. You know his number. You know who we're talking to. You know how to call him and how to reach him. Then why don't you do it? Put your pride aside or whatever, and let's roll up our sleeves, speak with one voice, and let's get the job done. You know how to reach Latasha, so don't act like you don't know how to reach her. Let's get the job done. Young people, we need you. We got a plan for a better future. Latasha has a vision 2022 and beyond. So here's what I say. Why wait for 2022? You can panic now and avoid the rush.
Wow. And you heard that here first before Wavy News 10, Channel 3, and also Channel 13 News. In closing, Mr. Carlos Howard, what would you like to say?
Rhoda, and I know this doesn't have anything to do with the current conversation, but as Mr. Bay illustrated earlier, if it weren't for you, this kind of news wouldn't get out. You have an audience of 268,000 people. Wavy, VEC, TKR has about 250,000. So you're about 18,000 people beyond them. And I understand from one of your postings that not only did the mayor disrespect you in Norfolk, but Wavy TV 10.
Yes.
Just disrespecting you and the kinds of things that you do. Where are they? This is the most newsworthy event that has occurred in the Commonwealth since the Democrats lost the election. And not one time, we filed our complaint in June, not one time have they said they lost because of the appearance of criminal activity and election fraud violations. They tried to cover it up from the Circuit Court in Richmond to the Virginia Supreme Court. This corruption must stop, and it starts on the local level. So again, as Mr. Bay says, we need you young people. This is your time of the century. Guys like me, I've given it my best fight. I'm almost headed towards non-existence now. So is Brother Bay. Of course, I'm speaking for me. And we've got to get you engaged. And we know how to fight. That's why they're so fearful of us. We don't go around holding empty press conferences. We hold press conferences after we didn't poked you in the eye a couple of times with the law.
Right.
And that's what it's going to take. You got to know how to fight. We are skilled warriors. And that which we lack, God makes up the difference with the anointing. And I've said many a times to Paul Goldman, to many a political pundits, they said this thing about Terry McAuliffe was going to win. And I told them, when we put this to our state Democratic Party on notice, that God has the last say. And what the courts wouldn't do in upholding the law that was broken by Mr. McCullough, the Democratic Party, Mark Herring, and Governor Ralph Northam, then God invoked his presence, and they lost the governorship, the lieutenant governorship, as well as the attorney general, and just earlier today, they've lost the majority in the House.
Wow.
Was it worth it to break the law?
Wow.
Was it worth it to tell a bunch of intelligent African Americans that we have no rights to our face? Of course, they use the word standing. So, again, I want to encourage everyone. I wouldn't care what your race is. There ain't but one race. And that's the human race. And when God made the first man with seed, he populated the entire earth with that one man. That one man, Adam, had the multiples of generations of people that exist today on this planet. And he never went back to the earth to scoop up another pile of dirt to make another man more superior.
Wow.
And it's evident based upon our DNA and our ability to endure hardness and oppression. My God, there's no other people who have suffered on the face of this planet as the African American or the Negro under murder, under lynching, under rape, under castration, under economic oppression. And yet we're still here, still making policy. Y'all may not want to cover it, but you're going to have to deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, God is going to deal with it, as he has shown the world in America how to lose an election with spending $30 million.
Wow. That's tough money right there. $30 million and still lose the election. Tough money.
Yes.
Ms. Holloway, in closing, what will you offer the people of Virginia Beach when it's your time to run for the mayor of Virginia Beach?
I want every citizen to be able to reimagine a city that doesn't have that corruption that we've lived under, the regime of corruptors that we've lived under for some time. I want us all to live in a society where every voice is heard. And that's been, I think, the largest complaint when people come to me and they say, I'm so glad to see someone doing something in the city of Virginia Beach. They explain to me and tell me these stories about how they felt they were invisible. They felt that they had no voice. Because guess what? With the current voting system, the apartheid at-large voting system that we have in place, they really did not have a voice. So that's one of the most powerful things that I will bring to the table is a seat at the table. I will offer every citizen the opportunity to have a voice. Tell me what your needs are in every community. And that's one of the things that I want to continue to fight for. I need to be in the position as the future mayor of the city of Virginia Beach to ensure that every ward that is produced from this new voting system has its own budget.
Wow.
That's the most powerful thing that I can bring to the table for every citizen in the Virginia Beach. We've never had that before. We've never had the opportunity for our budget dollars to remain in our community to ensure that our children's needs.
Was that one of the reasons why y'all said the mayor was not acting fair and he was being biased because the money was not being spent equally in every area? We know it's never going to be equal, but the money wasn't spent in the low income areas.
Right. Absolutely. So this is the number one complaint, and I don't care what race you are. I don't care what area that you're living in. If you're not living in the 1% area, the mayor and his cronies have not had an interest in doing anything for you or in your community. Wow. So the number one complaint is that I've lived in this home that belonged to my mother, belonged to my grandmother, and there are things that my grandparents needed repaired as far as the flooding and the infrastructure in our community, and it never got done. Wow. We were promised this for generations. It never got done. The buck stops with Dyer the liar. Wow. And the moment that we cut off that head of that snake, we can get the new leadership that our city deserves.
Wow, guys, you heard it here first from Mr. Perry Bray, Mr. Pastor Carlos Howard, future mayor of Virginia Beach, Latasha Holloway. Why it's important that you guys sign the petition that Tasha and her crew won today in Virginia Beach courts, allowing them to send a petition out to remove the current mayor, Dyer, the liar, out of office, guys. If they want to sign that petition to help you complete your mission as you started so long ago, and you continue to fight on until it's completed, how would they sign your petition once again?
Get in contact with me, Latasha Holloway. You can reach out to me at https //detoxvb.now.site. And I left also that on your social media site. So please click on that link, go to our website, enter in your data. I am happy to reach out to you. I'm happy to come out to your community events. Anything that we can do to promote the petition drive that we're doing right now is going to be a support to this community. We can do it. We can do it.
But before we close out, Latasha, Ms. Holloway just alluded to the fact that the fundings, don't go in terms of disbursement with parity, depending on the area, the neighborhood, or the zip code. And social scientists and psychiatrists have determined that violence and crime is associated tremendously with poverty. And when your governing body is manufacturing poverty by the exclusion of certain city services or the overproduction of certain services like over-policing, what you're going to have is chaos, violence, and crime, because you have generated an economic, educational, social, spiritual vacuum that cannot be filled. So these are the works of this apartheid leadership that has been in existence ever since the founding of Virginia Beach, annexing Princess Anne County.
Guys, we would like to thank each and every last one of you guys for tuning in to the Road to Young Live show, where we want you guys to be transparent on what's really going on in the city near you. If you have issues in your community, especially Virginia Beach, reach out to Latasha Holloway, Mr. Carlos Howell, or Perry Bray. They have a lot of great information and resources they can help you with, guys. I'm Road to Young Live, your local news reporter here out of Norfolk, Virginia, and it's been my pleasure to share what's going on behind the scenes with the mayor in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Road to Young Live.
Thank you, Rhoda.
Thank you. Thank you.